some activity on, when we went through activities of issues, I think one of those topics that we saw was the use of mobile phones. In our exercises, I think we did that. But you need to do a lot of research. There are some other interesting things that you should add, besides the common things that we know about the use of mobile phones. All right, it's time now, so I'm going to start. Whoever comes and joins, they will join us. Okay, so what I'm doing now is giving you samples of question number 2, the story writing. I'm just giving you ideas on what are other approaches that you can use to create the story. So here, can you see my screen? Can you see the screen? Can you see what's on the board?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
So I've labeled this one, teacher sample 1, introduction to question number 2. So I'm talking about the story writing here. So I've used the approach, the use of dialogue, suspense, sensory details. What do you mean by sensory details? What is sensory details?
The 5 senses.
5 senses, right? So when we describe what the writer is doing is enabling us as readers to use our 5 senses to see and feel what's happening in the story, right? So that's sensory details.
Yeah.
There is also conflict. What's another word for the word conflict? Conflict. What's a symptom?
The problem.
A problem. Okay, so in the story,
Miss, the problem.
must be a problem faced by characters. So conflict that is used to move the plot. What is the problem that you place in the story that shows the move of the plot? You don't have to describe it, but how the conflict is described shows in what direction the story is going. All right. So I want you to read this one. One of you maybe.
What's this? I think. Let's see.
Read it. Or two of you can read at the same time.
Okay. What's this I taste? Where am I? I cannot see. I cannot even move hands.
There's a missing word here. Move my hands. Okay. So what do you see in here? What are the elements applied here? There is
Miss.
There is also conflict. There is also, what else is there? We can say there is suspense.
It's the use of sensory.
Because the writer, the person in the story is describing something that does not really tell us what's really happening, but from the questions we are seeing, some unanswered questions. You understand?
Yes.
So you can create suspense, you can create conflict, you can create dialogue. All these 3, or more than these 3, can all be woven into one part of the story. You understand? You don't have to separate.
Yes.
What else was I trying to say here?
Miss, the usage of sensory details.
Sorry?
Miss, the usage of sensory details.
Yes, the use of sensory details is all there too. Yes, you can see that. And also the conflict. Who is this person having a conflict with? This person who is talking, who is he or she having a conflict with?
Miss, probably herself or himself.
Okay, so we can say this person is having that conflict within themselves, all right? So we can identify that through the use of questions that they're asking themselves. So the thoughts that go in their mind create the conflict, all right? So conflict in the story can be between one character and another character, or the character, him or herself, can have the conflict within themselves.
Yes.
All right, so you can create situations like that in your story. And we are talking about the introduction here. We are showing an example here, or seeing an example that we can also create an introduction where the conflict is right at the start, or the dialogue is right at the start. You understand? Second example, still to do
Yes.
with conflict. And it says, I cannot switch on my torchlight. And then he calls, or she calls, a friend's name. And what is the reason why this is written this way?
Interruption.
Miss Derek.
Jemima, you are there?
Mr. What interruption?
There is an interruption. What would be the interruption? A good interruption or a bad one?
A bad
A bad interruption.
one.
An interruption.
You can create a dialogue in this way that shows what is happening in the story. Through the use of words, we can be able to identify what kind of, what is it that's happening. So the use of dialogue to move the plot. We don't have to tell it in words, but the dialogue, the things that we say show the plot, the move of the story. You understand? So you can create such examples. All right, we go to the next one. What's the reason why this cannot go? Okay, number 2 is the use of description of setting. So when we talk of setting, what are we talking about? What are the two things that make up setting?
Time and place.
Time and place, okay, when it took place and where it took place, all right? So time and place are two important elements of setting. So in our introduction, we can also describe the setting. The sky was bright, the birds sang sweetly as Laura and I climbed towards the summit of Mount Koida. We have never been there, but we have heard so many exciting stories about what's on the mountain. There is a huge cave that runs through to the north coast, and I cannot wait to explore the place. So it's just a normal, plain description of setting and giving us an idea what time of the day this story is taking place. So this example is just to demonstrate a description of setting, where we talk of time and place. All right? Then we go to the next one. The next one is action and suspense. How are we going to show action in story? We are using action and suspense inside in the introduction. So how do we use that? How do we create that action? Hello? Are you going to answer my question? How do we create action in story?
The use of verbs. Always verbs.
Okay, good. The use of action words. So here we use crashed, and here we use startled, and here we use flew. So we crash through means without caring what it is that we are running against, we just run through it, whether it's a branch or it's a sharp piece of twig, we just crash through. You understand? And what's the word startle associated with? What kind of animal scuttles? Scuttle? What kind of an animal could be associated with this kind of movement? Hello?
Dead animal.
Dead? Did you say dead animal? Jemima? Did you say dead animal?
No, miss. I said four-legged animals.
Four-legged animal.
Miss Crab.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Scuttle, but you're guessing. Okay. But imagine this.
Predator.
Imagine the situation. If you read on, it says, um, we scuttled up the hill and flew to the valley below, but it still came after us. So what do you think, what kind of movement do you think scuttled is? If there is something chasing us, what kind of movement is scuttling?
Like
When you go on all four,
Like running away.
Running away?
running away on all four.
Okay, we
I
need to
think.
go very fast, all right? But scuttle is to do with crabs on the beach. When it is there,
Oh.
there's some crabs. Crabs, they're not
I
falling, but
know.
they are scuttling. They have to move
Oh,
about
okay.
very fast, fast and quick, short steps, very fast. All right. But do you think we're scuttling?
No.
We are just making an exaggeration. You understand? So what we are doing is
Yeah.
using this word as a connotation. So it's not really happening, but something that suggests that kind of speed that you create when you are running away from something that's scary coming towards you. You understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that speed like that. But it's not really scuttling that we are doing. You understand? But something
Yes.
that adds some kind of interest in the description that we give here. And what about flying? Can we fly? No. We mean that
No.
no, but we need to get away from whatever it is that's coming behind us. So that the shortcut we have to take is to just create wings and fly down there. Instead of going down the mountain slowly, we just jump down. You understand? So
Yes.
Yeah.
uh, the idea of action is the use of appropriate verbs that can show what is actually happening. You understand? So you can use your create an introduction with the use of action verbs, action words, right at the start. See any more? And then there is character. You can also describe character at the start. Uh, Someone read for me the first one, first sentence.
Miss, I'll do it.
Yes, thank you.
He was just another rock, camouflaged against the large boulders that shuffled,
Charted.
jutted out from the side of the cave.
A beast.
His,
Okay, thank you.
his body adorned with tattered leaves, and his head drenched with threads of gray, like the ash at the fireplace at dawn.
Okay, so what am I describing here?
Continue.
What is this description about?
His hair.
Hair is been described here, all right? And next one, somebody read this for me.
It was
Who's it?
Second sentence, second paragraph.
It was impossible to see anything in this dark cave, but we were able to see such details.
So what are we saying here? How is it that we cannot see in the dark, but we can see such details? So something supernatural, some kind of what is called foreshadowing, giving some kind of clue as to what is to expect in this story. All right?
Mhm.
And I was supposed to tell to my friend Lorna to signal that we should go back the way we had come, it should be. When he said, he or she, when she said, oh no, I'm talking about this person, he says this word. This is a word in my legend in my village, so I just made it up there. But it means cave shut. And these THES, these were the words of the wicked witch told in a well-known legend in my village. All right. So this is just a description of character to say the story. So that description gives us a theme. It also shows conflict, many other things that are used in here. All right. So you can You can use another approach to write your story instead of the common way, which is, what's the common way? What is the common way that a lot of students will try to use their, to create their introduction? What's the word? Very long word with a C. Hello? What is the common way of starting your story? The usual, the standard, the common. Hello? What is the standard way of starting a story? When I say, let's go fishing on the island, what are we going to start? How are we going to start our story? Claire, how would you start your story? Your brains are on holiday for too long. The word is chronological.
Chronological.
Yes,
Oh,
common.
Ah,
This is the common way that a lot of students start their story, right? So if I asked you to tell me a story about your trip to the island, where would you start your story? Or how would you begin your story? What would be the common way to start the story? Go to the island, what are you going to describe first?
The trip.
this,
Now,
miss the setting?
the setting. But if you're following the normal, the chronological, how would you start that story?
The trip
The trip to the island first.
from the
You will start by telling about how you started that journey. You understand? Or what you
Yes.
did to prepare to go to the island. All right? This is telling the story in order in which the events took place. You understand?
Okay.
So
Yes, yes.
I woke up on Saturday morning, packed my things in my bag, walked to the beach, pulled my canoe down to the sea, and I paddled to the island. You understand? This is following the chronological order, which means telling the story in the order in which it happened. All right? So you take note of that. I'm not asking you to take note of it so that you will use it. I want you to get away from using this normal, ordinary, or common way of starting the story. The goal of writing this introduction is to get away from creating an introduction that's a very ordinary one. So in the argument, the ordinary is the definition, all right? In the story writing, the ordinary is the chronological order. You understand? So get away from that
Yes.
and create another approach. The whole reason why I gave you different examples here, so you can have some idea what would be your own way of creating your own introduction that does not sound like the familiar, the standard, the common one that a lot of people like to use. As soon as they see in argument writing, the first thing they will think about is the definition to start the general statement, right? As soon as they see a story question, the first thing they will do is they will tell the story in the order in which the events took place, all right? So get away from that and use another approach to begin your story. Are you listening?
Yes.
Yes? So
Yes.
yes.
try to do
Yes,
that.
Miss.
We are not going to have any lessons until you do your exams. So this is the only time I'm talking about this. So do this, take note of this and try your best to create something that's interesting for people to read. All right? We still have a few more minutes. I'm going on now to the booklet. You have started reading your booklet?
No,
You haven't started?
No.
not yet.
You need to start.
First pages.
Yes, okay, so you need to start. There are clues in this booklet. We have always been talking about the set of questions in the introductory page. But There are three places where you can identify clues. The first one is the topic on the cover of the booklet, which is this. Use and accessibility of internet on mobile phones. For who is this issue common? Or who is associated with this issue?
People that own phones.
Yes, so are you saying that a person like your mom and dad would have an issue having restriction to internet because they have a rule somewhere there?
Yeah. Oh,
Miss, could you repeat?
I am saying, if you're saying people, this topic is to do with people. So I'm asking if there are people like your mom and dad, would they have rules about when to use internet, when to use mobile phones?
No.
So it cannot be about people. It has to be about a specific group of people that have rules about when to use the mobile phone, when not to use the mobile phone. So who would these?
students.
So
Students.
it would be to do with students. So that
Students.
your question would be to do with your particular group of
Students.
people. All right. So that's one clue. So it cannot be about everybody else because they don't have a problem with access to internet. They can access internet anytime. You understand? When you are here in school, do you
Yes.
have access to internet? No, because there is a rule. So
Mm.
this is one clue that you can consider. All right? The next one is this set of questions. I will go to that in a moment, but we go to the next one first. The third clue in your, to get an idea what the expected question is to study the topics on the subjects or the topics of the articles in the booklet. So in material number 1, you are asked to, you have been given information on disadvantages, is that correct? Disadvantages of mobile phones, right? So that's one clue that that information would be to do with looking at what is the good, what is the bad of the use of mobile phones. Material number 2, the use of internet in our everyday life. All right. So go through the article list and highlight what does it sound like the question is going towards. What is the discussion about? All right. So that's material 1 and number 2. You can look through the booklet for the rest of the clues. I will now close this one and go to another page where I have written the information on the questions. Now, how do I get out of this? It's already open. How do I close this? Okay. Sorry.
My ma.
Yes.
Oh, it's almost time. Okay, what I'm looking at now is the set of questions you have, the questions given by the examiner. So for each one of the,
Oh,
hello? Each one of the questions,
busy man. Them starting to room bio.
no? You're talking to us or you're talking
No,
Dong.
Sorry, miss.
Okay, I'm looking at the set of questions on the introductory page. We have about 2 more minutes. Oh, 4 minutes according to my laptop. So the first one is what is mobile phones? What are you going to do here? You will give a definition. So this can be part of introduction because it is giving general information. And next question is who uses mobile phones? Here you will have to identify the mobile users, and this can be part of the body, or part of introduction. And you decide how you can use this information. And so I've decided that questions 1 and 2 can create the introductory paragraph. And you don't have to limit your introduction to just these 2 questions. You can integrate other information in addition to the definition. Are you listening?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm trying to give an idea how you can do this. But it's a very simple question. You just go through each one of these questions and you will decide what it is you are asked to do here. And when you do that highlighting and making, what you're doing here is doing an analysis of the questions. You can be able to identify which direction the question is going. All right? So I will present a video on this one, but it might be too late already. But you will know what to do. You have any issue,
Yes.
any problem? Create your outline uh, and do this outlining on your notepads, and you will do your research according to the outline you have created. All right? Any questions? Or you are all set to do the exam next week?
No.
No?
No.
Why is that? Is there anything that you're not sure about?
Miss, would you know
Uh,
what question what written action question was
Sorry? Would I know what the question is on the written expression?
for the grade 10s? The grade 10s written expression, didn't they get something similar to ours?
Yeah, it looks like
Yeah, they
just
did.
to create something challenging, they just brought this. It's a very simple question. All right. So their question was to do with mobile phones. I do not know what exactly the question is. I didn't really see what the question is, but the subject was mobile phones. Okay. So do you still want me to present video on this one, or you are okay?
It's tomorrow.
We're okay.
What I've done here with the list of questions is giving an explanation of what each one of them is, what you are to do. And so it gives you some direction on how you're going to use it as a way to collect information. But I've already given you the skill of how you're going to predict what the expected question is. Just collect your information according to that. And
Yes.
do some counter argument, do some reading around. Don't only just look at the booklet. Look at other interesting information about mobile phones. There is a question about how it affected cultures somewhere here. What is this question? Have the use of mobile phones and internet affected world societies and cultures? So you need to find out, is there any group of people out there in the world that have their cultures affected in any way because of mobile phone? Then explain to us. So when you do that, they know that you have read around and found information related to this. So don't just stick to only information in the booklet. Make your presentation interesting by bringing information that's new to do with the mobile phone. What are the issues that are faced by other cultures? All right? You can send me an email if you're not really sure. If there is any question you need to ask, you send me an email. You need to create your own email so you can contact directly. All right, so you have today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All right, and make use of that time